Thank you. So you very early in this made some orders concerning renters not being evicted and people not being foreclosed on, and then followed that up with, hey, pay your bills, don't not pay your bills, right? That was great. However, we have about 18, according to last year's data, we have about 1,800 people who are living in various states of non-confirmed living situations, either in shelters, camping. Some of them are living in transitional motels and things like that. What's the plan to deal with homeless in the state?
I think there's really, if I may, there's two questions there. I think, what is the long-term plan with the homelessness issue in the state? A discussion that has been going on, and again, I think we've made some real strides there prior to the COVID crisis hitting New Hampshire. We're making a lot of good strides there, working with not just cities and towns and local organizations, nonprofit groups, to make sure that we have the capacity to deal with not just the homeless issue, but the co-occurring issues that can come with homelessness. In terms of the COVID crisis and the pandemic crisis that we're dealing with today, we have established a model that allows for folks within the homeless population to still maintain a quarantine status. We have separate locations for homeless and for them to be quarantined. I mean, long term, we definitely have to get back to understanding where the homelessness issue was before this crisis and what it's going to look like after. I don't think anybody knows that, unfortunately. So we're constantly, right now our shelters are pretty much full. They're pretty much at capacity. So we'll have to be monitoring that through the crisis, but also planning, looking at that data and planning ahead to see where this is going to take us. Are we going to be in a better or worse position than we were than at the start of it, where my guess is we're going to be in a much tougher situation, to be sure. Now, there's a lot of opportunity with the federal funds that are going to come down, the relief funds, maybe even stimulus funds. We don't know what those will look like, but the relief funds coming down, whether they're part of the community development block grants, direct funds out of Health and Human Services. We're working very closely with Senator Shaheen and Senator Hassan's office. They did I thought, a very good summary of some of the financial opportunities from the federal government above and beyond the $1.25 billion that the state will bring in, where they broke it down. We're able to break it down and identify some of the opportunities on law enforcement. You bring up that a lot of these services can be a drain on law enforcement if you don't have the other services available. You ask your law enforcement officers on the front lines to basically become everything from recovery specialists, mental health specialists, and all of this sort of thing. So I think by having a variety of these federal funds, they've already identified about $160 million over and above the $1.25 billion the state's going to have for relief efforts for a variety of these different local programs. Millions of dollars will undoubtedly go into Manchester or Nashua or some of the bigger areas, and hopefully those funds, we're looking at it now, but we believe those funds should have some flexibility, to be sure.
You have a situation where a prison guard was tested positive recently. You also have had a number of concerns raised about a convicted felon, it looks like, with a threat case being released from Carroll County. And this weekend, there were two officer-involved shootings with two perpetrators, one who was accused of firebombing his ex's house. What are your thoughts about public safety in the realm of judges and people, advocates, wanting to release what seems like pretty dangerous people and releasing them based on potential infection?
Specific to your question pertaining to, it's my understanding that a judge did let an individual out with a history of domestic violence. I can tell you that my administration has no part in that at all. That is a decision solely taken by that judge. I don't know the specifics of the situation, but I can tell you it's concerning, without a doubt. We want to make sure that this isn't a pattern. You would hope that judge used the best judgment in that call, but on the surface of it, it's very alarming, without a doubt. We had an issue of a jail, again, a county jail, that it does not come under the purview of this office, letting an individual out. That's the purview of that jail, and again, it's alarming. It's very, very concerning. And so we want to, again, push out the message that public safety has to be paramount in this. I understand that they're looking at other factors as well, but not even knowing exactly how exacerbated this problem is going to be in the next few weeks. You need to be buckled down, disciplined, ready for anything, and I get very concerned over any practices of that nature that can then create almost a pattern, right? You don't want a pattern of this type of thing where you're letting folks out. So again, nothing that our administration took part in, but we just hope that people are using the best judgment when making these very difficult calls.